Hey everyone, welcome back to Xploit. Now the plan for today is more or less to build the mob switch, and the mob switch is quite simply a mechanism that allows us to block all mob spawning in the entire world, because we have a ticking area and that permanently loads mobs, and it's basically just having 200 mobs because there's a global cap of 200 in Bedrock edition. And when there's 200 mobs anywhere in the world in any dimension, then all mob spawning ceases. Except for a few select, such as mob spawners and portal pigmen and all that. And yes, so we're going to do that using wolves in the spawn perimeter, and I have some pretty neat idea on how to decorate it. But before that, speaking of decoration, I just want to check out this. So that is a mushroom block farm that was designed by JX67, and you may know JX67, he is pretty much a Bedrock legend, and he has not played for a very long time, but still his tech was way ahead of its time. So yeah, that is what we built. Lee built it up and built it here, but of course there was no decoration. And you can see all of this looks pretty amazing. This is all the work of Jin. I think he's somewhere around here, I'm not sure. He's definitely online, but the basic idea is having a mushroom themed build around it, and it already looks pretty amazing. I mean, just look at this, it's beautiful. I used to play with him on other servers and already knew of his building skills, but it just surprises me every time how amazing this looks. Anyways, I've been trying to help him to build this by replicating one side of his amazing decoration on the other side, but I am actually terribly bad at this, and I also noticed something else, that I was constantly getting assaulted by creepers and skeletons, and that is of course not fun, so I do kind of want to build a mob switch right now. So I'm here at the perimeter, the spawn perimeter, and I'll explain our situation and how we're going to build the mob switch. So you might already be able to tell what mob we're going to use for a mob switch, and that is the wolf, or the dog rather. And that is for the reason that we can make it sit down, and it will not pathfind really anywhere, it will just sit down and really cause minimal lag and basically no lag at all. And yeah, that is a pretty good part about the dogs. And yeah, because they can be just sit down like this, we can move them around easily, and we can even all have them in the same spot. And not to mention, we can easily breed them, that way we can get more, and we can use rotten flesh for it. So, I know, I'm sorry DrJanCyan, but that is just the type of flesh that I had around, and that's what I'm just going to use to breed these. So here's the plan, and I know it looks quite silly, but we've taken the word mob switch quite literally, and we just have a lever, and we will just place that in the middle of our perimeter. There will be a chunk border right here, and that will basically allow us to place the dogs inside or outside the ticking area that is in the spawn perimeter. And basically if we turn it on, then there will of course be the 200 wolves in here, and they will get pushed over here, and when we turn it off, it gets pushed outside of the ticking area. Now having them all in one spot, all 200, might seem counterproductive, but it's okay honestly, because they will all be sitting and not pathfinding. They don't even cause really any collisions because they don't move, so the only real lag will be when you actually toggle it, because then it will get all pushed from one space into the other and cause some collisions, and that of course can be quite laggy. But it's okay, it's not really that much lag unless you actively toggle it. And so yeah, this line right here is the middle of the perimeter, because as I've stated on some other occasions, the perimeter is 9 times 18 chunks. So if we just fly up here, I can show you how the perimeter is divided. So right here is the line that separates the two halves of the perimeter. This perimeter half is 9 times 9 chunks, as is the other of course, and this is not a ticking area. And the other half, these 9 times 9 chunks, this is indeed a ticking area. So this range is permanently loaded, and we will just have something right here in the middle. So we'll have the lever right here, about here, between those two chunk borders, where we will have the 200 wolves getting pushed over and back the chunk border. And that will be our mob switch that allows us to stop mob spawning whenever we want to. And yes, of course, that means while any player is around and loading these chunks around here and loading the 200 wolves, regardless whether we have it on or not, that will stop all mob spawning, but usually we shouldn't spend too much time around the spawn perimeter. And yeah, I mean, you would go there to toggle the mob switch when you want to use mob farms, but other than that, we're just going to leave it around. And well, it would be pretty great to have mob spawning cancelled, because those mobs do get quite pesky, and having the mobs stop would be great for, in general, just building and quality of life, especially the gas in the nether. Those are annoying. So I'm pretty much just gonna build the lever dead right in the center here, and I measured the proportions of the base. It is 6 times 8 times 3, I believe. So 8 in length, 6 in width, and 3 in height. And then there's the lever. I'm just gonna, well, just do that, just wing it. That's the word, that's right. And yeah, it's going to be right here, I believe. So yeah, I'm just gonna get to it. Alright, we are under British weather conditions right now, but you don't really need good weather to see what we've done. So there's the lever in the middle, and I think it looks pretty much like a lever. It looks pretty funny to have such a large lever, well, in the middle of the perimeter. And I haven't added anything inside yet, partly because, well, there's still a lot of dogs left to breed, but, well, yeah, this looks pretty nice. So, I already bred up a whole bunch of dogs, and what I did now is that I already built the system where the lever will basically push the dogs back and forth. So if we're in here, of course, that will be off, because the lamp is off, and on. As you can see, it crosses the chunk border, and they're inside the ticking area. Now I did a little opening here, and I put a slab here, so I can just push the dogs in while they are sitting. Now I don't believe we have 200 dogs right now, but I'm just going to count and just write it down somewhere to make sure we have exactly 200 dogs by the end of how many dogs we put in there. Alright, so we've gotten pretty far already, and right now we have 151 dogs right here in this one spot. And as you can see, if I toggle the lever, they're all getting from one side to the other. You can ignore that sound, that was just the rain raining onto them. When it's enclosed, that's not gonna be an issue. And like I said, because they're sitting down, they're not having any collisions. So you can just push them back and forth, and the lag spike will only be when it's being toggled, but when they're sitting still, not really anything. And yeah, so we're 151 dogs in. We need 49 more to reach the 200 global mob cap. And I think that's about 49 dogs. We will see, but yeah, we just have to push them in one by one. And yeah, we basically keep track of how many dogs we have by simply typing the number of total dogs when we add one in a private channel in our Discord server. And that's pretty much how we count it. Okay, we're down to our last 3. That's number 198. And then we have number 199. 99. And 200. There we go. Yeah, that's a lot of dogs actually. Actually, it's not very lag at all. As you can see, they're only turning their heads and stuff. But of course, I'm going to close them in and all that. So just get a block of glass over it. And then we basically just enclose it, and that's the end of the story. Now I just get these extra blocks, and yeah, I just fill all of that in. And that is our mob switch. We have a lot of surplus dogs. I'm not sure what to do with them, but yeah, this is looking pretty funny. Yeah, that's at least maybe 20, 30. That's crazy. That is just crazy. So I'm here in the end, and it looks like there are no more Endermen, so that's pretty great. And if you didn't know already, the global mob cap in Bedrock Edition works across all 3 dimensions. So there's just one mob cap of 200 for all dimensions, and that's why there are no Endermen spawning despite the mob cap being, the mob switch I mean, being in the overworld. And yeah, so that's pretty great actually. And of course we can toggle it, and that will allow us to have mobs whenever we want, so we can of course still use mob farms. So I AFK'd for a bunch of gunpowder because there's something I realized, or well, it's Rufus that pointed it out, and that is that our creeper farm will kind of break next update, because of course the buttons will not trick mobs into pathfinding off of them anymore. So yeah, I think I just AFK'd for a bunch of hours, and there's actually a lot more gunpowder than I expected. Okay, that's a lot more gunpowder. I thought I farmed way less, but okay, that's good. I'm still gonna farm some more, but what I want to do now is just build up my golden XP farm. Now, this is not going to be our permanent golden XP farm. I have plans for a much bigger one that covers the entire range of a simulation distance of 6, but that comes later. For now, we just need some XP and some gold, and that is going to be something that will be a great advantage. So I decided that I want to build it in a mesa biome, because I think it would look very nice in a sort of space station-esque theme, and yeah, that could be indeed pretty cool. Now that was an idea from Rufus, and we have a mesa biome fairly nearby, and I think it would look nice to build it on top of this plateau. Although it looks like someone already dug here, but that's not really much of a problem, we can just build it somewhere else. So, I've decided that I want to build it here, right in between those 4 chunks, because if you build my gold farm, you probably know that you do kind of need to chunk align the gold farm in between 4 chunks to avoid pending tick buildups. And it's a little complicated, I'm not gonna go into detail with that, but yeah, you just need to build it in between 4 chunks. That's why I'm going to build it here. And I'm going to first build up my bulk storage, and then I'm going to build the gold farm on top quite simply. So that's the storage for my gold farm taken care of. As you can see, there are shulker loaders over here, and I didn't place in the items in the item filters yet, but I'm going to do that later. And the gold farm as well is going to get on top of here, of course. And this is how you get into the gold farm. This is through the scaffolding, of course. And there's all the item filters here. Like I said, no items in there yet. but the items get dropped out here. This is a modification from the tutorial, but it is in the pinned comment that you should use stairs, because just glass does not work anymore since 1.16, but when you use stairs like this, then items will just drop right down into the water stream, would get aligned eventually, and all that fancy stuff. I did place ender chests here instead of a chest and a cake, because I do not have any cake around, and I prefer having 2 ender chests over 1 chest and 1 ender chest, because it looks more, well, uniform. And then overall I just used, well, grey concrete and black glass, and I think it looks very nice. Anyways, that's it. I'm gonna finish the gold farm next episode, and I will see you around by then. Bye!